February 14th, 2021. Somewhere in the bowels of Mar-a-Lago, the only man to be impeached and acquitted by the Senate twice is laughing at all the suckers he played for fools one more time. He's laughing at the Democrats who made a compelling but alas not airtight case that he had betrayed his oath of office and the country. And he's laughing at the Republicans who can't bend the knee deep enough out of fear of the monster that they created and that he exploited. Donald John Trump is a coward, which is hardly an impeachable offense. And he is a traitor, which most certainly is. He clearly incited the January insurrection, as everyone saw and even craven Mitch McConnell acknowledged. But while the House impeachment team clearly showed that Trump's speech at his so-called Stop the Steal rally, moments before the mob stormed the Capitol, incited the insurrection, they came up short in two key areas. Demonstrating that January 6th was only the culmination of a years-long campaign by Trump to undermine American democracy, and blinking when the other side called their bluff to subpoena witnesses. During the 2015 GOP primary debates, every candidate except one pledged to support the party's presidential nominee. That's a fair enough position to take on its face, but it only presaged Trump's plan to go to any length, up to and including treason, to grab and hold on to power. He raised the specter of not honoring the results of the 2016 election if he lost, then followed up by failing to honor the results of that election for 4 years after he won. And of course, throughout the 2020 campaign, he stoked his crowd of maggots with cries that he couldn't possibly lose unless that election was stolen. And after years of nonstop lying about matters large and small, starting with the size of his inauguration crowd. I mean, what is it with this guy and size? He lied repeatedly that not only had he won in November, but that he won by a lot. No. So when he threatened his vice president for performing his constitutional duty and urged the maggots to go to the Capitol as the electoral votes were being tallied, they did the only thing they had been programmed to do. The law and order mob rioted and staged a failed coup. Trump's speech that day was the proximate cause of the insurrection, but the Kool-Aid they drank was only the culmination of years of indoctrination. Jonestown 1978, Heaven's Gate 1997, and Washington, D.C. 2021 were all the inevitable result of blind loyalty to a cult of evil personality. And yet, for a brief moment, it seemed that this trial would include witnesses to the defendant's treason. Then the Republicans, led by the second most hypocritical member of the Senate, called the Democrats' bluff and threatened to drag out the trial beyond, God forbid, Valentine's Day. And even though the Dems were holding an ace-high flush, they folded like the last 4 episodes of House of Cards because apparently Congress can't walk and chew gum at the same time. While the Dems' priorities, including confirmation of cabinet and judicial nominees and passing a COVID relief bill, are important, their first principle must be to protect the country against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Would witnesses have moved 10 more GOP senators to vote for conviction? Not likely. But who could have predicted that there would have been even 7 members of their party willing to vote their conscience? Of course, the minority leader was not one of the Magnificent Seven. Instead, Mitch McConnell was all in against Lindsey Graham, saying, "I'll see your hypocrisy and raise you a double standard," while acknowledging that, quote, Trump's actions preceding the riot were a disgraceful dereliction of duty, close quote, and that, quote, there is no question that Trump is practically and morally responsible for provoking the events of that day, close quote. The Kentucky Fried Chicken voted for acquittal on the ludicrous grounds that only sitting office holders can be convicted in an impeachment trial. Of course, this next-level double-dealing is no surprise from the man who single-handedly prevented Attorney General-to-be Merrick Garland from sitting on the Supreme Court while pushing through Amy Coney Barrett's nomination. So after years of buddying up to the cancer of his party, Mitch McConnell tossed him aside when Trump no longer served any political purpose. Harry Truman once said that if you're looking for a friend in Washington, get a dog. Neither Trump nor McConnell actually has dogs, but they both enjoy licking their own selves and sniffing each other's butts. The 45th president betrayed his country early and often. From giving classified information to Russians, to admiring foreign autocrats and dictators, to praising domestic Nazis, to subverting attempts to fight the pandemic, he has been a threat to domestic tranquility, and he utterly failed to protect and defend the Constitution. Inciting an insurrection and cheering on as his horde of maggots attempted a coup d'etat may be his most egregious high crime and misdemeanor. But apparently even that's not enough to warrant removal and prohibition from seeking future office. The House impeachment matters were close but no cigar to sealing Trump's fate. As for the 43 Republican senators who voted for acquittal, they deserve a reckoning for their failure to punish treason. The country is in a sorry state, and I am not sorry for pointing that out.